My sibling messaged me, "Drop by for a casual family meal, we'll squeeze you in." When I got there, no seat was waiting for me. My mother waved toward a single high stool shoved in the nook. "That'll do for you, right?" I gave a nod, requested a latte. Then I passed my card to the server and told him I'd like to close my check but move the remaining costs to table 7. Half an hour on, my brother jumped up and bellowed, "Who the hell dumped a $1,300 tab on me?" What they really had coming was to be dropped, shamed before the crowd, and erased from my world the way they'd pushed me aside for ages. But I hadn't walked in seeking payback. All I'd ever craved was a real place at their table. That's what turned this instance so satisfying. It wasn't about settling scores when I entered that eatery. It was simply a meal invitation. A light, offhand note from Danielle, as if she were allowing me brief entry to her inner circle. Her text had said, "Drop by for a casual family meal, we'll squeeze you in." Squeeze me in. The hint didn't escape me. They formed the heart of every family event, while I remained the stranger they hardly noticed. I'd already resolved that if it unfolded as it always had, I wouldn't ignore it now. I had no plan, just an instinct that I'd meet precisely what I anticipated. I arrived 10 minutes ahead, enough time to grab a seat or assist with arrangements. But no, the entire family was already settled, appearing as if they'd been there forever. I tallied 9 seats at the extended table, dishes already placed, beverages partly consumed. My parents, Danielle and her partner Nate and his fiancé, Kevin and his latest companion. Even Uncle Mark had shown up unexpectedly, 9 individuals, no room for a 10th. I lingered there a second, waiting for someone to recognize me. A greeting, a tilt of the head, a joke about running late, nothing. It seemed like I'd intruded on another group's family feast. Danielle never looked over. Nate darted his gaze at me, then plunged back into his tale. At last, my mother offered a grin, as if she just spotted the server delivered the incorrect rolls. She indicated the counter and said, "That'll do for you, right?" She referred to the high stool by the wall beside a pile of dirty glassware. I didn't reply. I simply strode over and took it. From that spot, I could view them all plainly. Danielle, chuckling so fully her head fell back at whatever Kevin uttered. Nate filling fizzy wine as though he were running a grand celebration. My father recounting a memory with that smug smile. They appeared like a family. I appeared like a trespasser they couldn't figure out how to eject. I requested a latte, drank it slowly. No one inquired if I wished to sit with them. No one dragged over a seat. It was as though this had always been the setup. That's when a change occurred. If they insisted on handling me like a foreigner, I'd perform the role. I observed them request more beverages, then starters, additional in trays, another bottle of fizzy wine because Kevin's companion wanted a sip. Nate put on a show lifting the bottle like a sommelier. The check was climbing fast. I signaled the server as he went by and asked for my receipt. He brought it. $5.75 for the latte. I handed him my card and said I'd like to pay, but could he shift the other expenses to table 7? He paused, looked at the table. I nodded. He said nothing, just accepted my card and departed. I abandoned the latte half-finished and exited, didn't glance behind. I was midway home when the initial message arrived from Kevin. "Dude, Nate's flipping out." Someone shifted the full check to his card, over $1,300. He rose and shouted right in the restaurant. Everyone was gawking. I drove into my garage, entered the house, prepared a sandwich, and turned on the television. I didn't reply, just bided my time, because if you're going to squeeze someone in, you'd better prepare for the fallout. The following morning was peaceful, nearly unnaturally so. I sat on the deck with coffee, browsing messages I had no intention of addressing. 4 unanswered calls from Mom, 2 from Nate, 1 from Danielle, then the voice messages, the typical mix of phony concern and veiled blame. Mom's tone, "Ring me back when you hear this, we must talk about yesterday." Nate's, "Sort this out, man, don't act like a fool." Danielle's was the highlight. "I'm not sure what stunt you were attempting, but I covered the check, so we're going to speak today." I erased them all. Around 10 a.m. I heard the gate click. Rachel was in the kitchen and looked out. "Danielle's here." Naturally, I didn't stir, waited until the bell sounded. Rachel remained still too. She knew I'd deal with it, and she knew the outcome. I opened the door and there stood Danielle clutching a designer cold coffee with her name written on it. No hello, no niceties. She entered as if she owned the space. "I covered that check yesterday," she declared, positioning herself in the living room like she awaited applause. "Over $1,300, I didn't reply." She paused for a response that didn't come, then continued. "I didn't need to, but I did, because I avoid scenes, I don't destroy family occasions, I resolve issues." I rested against the wall, allowing her to go on. I wanted to observe how long she'd push it. "I'm not sure what your petty trick was meant to show, but well done, you got attention. Everyone's discussing it. You embarrassed Nate before the entire venue. You embarrassed us all." I remained quiet because I was beginning to understand. She wasn't mad about the check, not truly. She was mad because I'd flipped the script, for once I'd forced them to respond. I'd been the silent one, the courteous one, always overlooking slights. Now they couldn't manage me. You could have spoken up, she added. Instead, you behaved like a child. It was self-centered. That's when I finally met her eyes. You call that self-centered? Parking me on a high stool like some unknown at my own family's table. What's that? She shook her head as if I'd lost the thread. We were packed. We figured you'd be fine. You're always so self-sufficient. Sure, I said. Meaning you don't mind where I sit as long as I don't disrupt your ideal image. Danielle sighed, folding her arms. You've altered. You used to be laid back. Now you're just bitter. Rachel had listened enough. She emerged from the kitchen, drying her hands on a cloth, and approached. Composed, firm. No, Danielle, he's not bitter. He's drained. Drained from being handled like an extra at his own family's events. Drained from you appearing only when you require something or wish to scold him. Danielle's gaze sharpened. I'm not speaking to you. This is between me and Rick. Rachel grinned, dropped the cloth on the table. No, it ceased being just between you and Rick the instant you began depending on him. Rent-free, incidentally, for the past 22 months. Free home, utilities paid, property taxes handled. All Rick. Danielle's cheeks flushed, but she attempted a retort. Rachel cut her off. You believe labeling him self-centered will succeed after all he's provided. No job, your husband doesn't work, and you still behave like you deserve it all. Careful, Danielle barked. Rachel stood firm. She advanced, took Danielle by the arm, not roughly, but decisively, and led her to the door. Opened it, eased her onto the porch, and closed it before Danielle could reply. I stood there a moment. No words, no celebration, just the stillness that comes after a limit is drawn at last. Rachel faced me. You've been too generous. Time to end it. She was correct. That home Danielle occupied, the one I owned, funded, upkeep covered, was intended as a short-term aid during a rough patch. Her husband lost his position. They had 2 children. I sympathized. It was supposed to be 6 months. Then they were building savings. Then her husband was freelancing. Then it turned into this implicit belief that I'd continue footing everything. No rent, no gratitude, just demand. By 2 p.m. I composed an email to the property management firm. I informed them my assistance was finished. They had 2 weeks to depart. I directed formal eviction documents be dispatched right away. No more safety net. Let's see how privileged she feels when the foundation vanishes. The email was sent before supper. I drafted it like an official notice, precise and impersonal. Dispatched it to the manager overseeing the home Danielle and her family used. I declared my backing terminated effective now with 2 weeks' notice to leave. No delays. No allowances. I requested verification when the notice was served. Then I waited. By the time I shut my laptop, my phone was vibrating. Danielle rang twice, then Nate, then Mom. I allowed every ring to reach voicemail. I knew the script. Tears, guilt faulting me. Then the messages began. Danielle, are you for real? You're evicting us. You think this is acceptable? Mom, Rick, call me. This is excessive. There are children involved. You can't do this to your sister. Danielle again. Wow, you're really pleased with yourself. You seem ridiculous. You were always envious of me. That one made me grin. Envious of what? A woman who hasn't held a job in 6 years wed to a man who declines positions because they're below him while gaming all day. That night, Rachel and I prepared supper and avoided the topic. We didn't have to. It was the first occasion in years I sensed something akin to peace. The next day, I rose to a surge of unanswered calls. Danielle had attempted 6 times through the night. Mom twice, Nate once. My dad, quiet for months, messaged. We don't always side with your sister, but this is family. Don't make this irreversible. I didn't respond. I let it all linger. By midday, Danielle showed up at the house. She didn't knock. Just positioned herself on the walkway with her children in the vehicle, messaging me nonstop. We must speak. I didn't sleep. Please, let's resolve this. Don't penalize the kids. Rachel looked out the window, then at me. Don't you dare open that door. I didn't. They lingered for 15 minutes. The messages slowed, then ceased. Then they departed. Over the following week, the urgency arrived in waves. Danielle forwarded a lengthy email attempting to seem rational. Packed with I realize I've erred and we simply need time. Mom messaged pictures of the children at a park with a caption, do this for them. Nate left a voicemail with forced laughter. Bro, this is becoming insane. Just speak to her, all right. You've proven your case. None of them grasped. I wasn't proving a case. I wasn't chasing retribution. I was finished being their backup. On day 6, Danielle rang and didn't disconnect. I picked up. She didn't shout this time. She wept. Said they had no place to go, that she'd counted on me, that she never imagined I'd follow through. I let her speak. When she stopped, I said, you've had 2 years. That's 84 weeks beyond what we planned. This isn't penalty. It's actuality. You're just disturbed I ceased acting like it isn't. She fell silent. Then the call ended. I thought that concluded it. But the next day, an unknown number rang, her husband's mother. They were escalating now. I ignored it the first time. I didn't recognize the number, and I knew the voice awaiting wouldn't be inquiring about my well-being. When it rang again 5 minutes later, Rachel looked at me. Pick up, let's see how deep this privilege runs. So I did. Rick, the voice said, courteous but with a touch of practiced condescension. This is Diane, Danielle's mother-in-law. I stayed mute. I understand there's been some tension. We simply want to discuss. This is a family issue. It's become rather dramatic, don't you agree? I asked what she meant by dramatic. She offered a brief chuckle. Well, evicting a mother and her 2 children, your own relatives, with barely any warning. I didn't anticipate that from someone so stable. There it was, the subtle dig. She continued. They'll reside with us naturally for now. But can we revisit your choice? Perhaps you aid them for another month or 2 and assist with the shift. Keep matters friendly. Friendly. That term hit me. These were individuals who never asked us to a holiday dinner, never phoned on birthdays, never appreciated a single kindness. And now they sought friendliness. I informed her it was decided. No further talks, no further aid, not a penny. She exhaled. Said she hoped I'd rethink and ended the call. By the following day, I received messages from unfamiliar numbers. Far-off cousins I hadn't contacted in years. A family acquaintance. You ought to be ashamed. Children are affected. Evidently, Danielle had been crafting a narrative. In her version, I'd blindsided them, thrown them into homelessness, left her children with no bed. Conveniently skipped the detail where she hadn't paid rent in almost 2 years. Skipped her husband rejecting 3 positions in 6 months because they weren't suitable. Rachel viewed the messages, seized my phone, and blocked each one silently. On the 10th day, something unforeseen occurred. I returned from work and noticed a minivan parked out front. Danielle's. Initially, I assumed she was planning another porch display, but she wasn't solo. Her husband was present, standing next to a collapsed crib and a stack of cartons. Danielle was weeping on the porch. Loudly. Not the sort of weep that begs sympathy. The sort designed to be heard, performed. They weren't there to converse. They were attempting to create a show. Rachel opened the door. What is this? Danielle whirled around. You achieved what you desired. You destroyed everything. Her husband remained quiet, arms folded, clearly uncomfortable but not enough to halt her. The children were in the vehicle, windows slightly open. Appearing confused, I said nothing. Danielle gestured at the cartons. This is what occurs when family stabs you in the back. We have nothing. We're heading out of town. I nodded. Good. She stared as if she couldn't process the term. You're not even remorseful. She inquired. I said, for years, not now, Rachel added. You want a bad guy? Fine, just don't return when your next plan collapses. Danielle lingered there a moment longer, awaiting someone to yield. No one did. She climbed back in the van, slammed the door, and drove away. I thought that wrapped it. But 2 days on, we received a letter. Not an email, not a message, a proper envelope, certified mail. Inside was a printed notice from her husband's parents. They were taking me to court. For emotional harm from forced relocation of a family. That's when I understood. These individuals weren't merely privileged. They were deranged. The letter rested on our kitchen counter for 3 hours before I unsealed it. Rachel noticed it first. Certified envelope, legal heading. I recognized the name instantly. Diane, Danielle's mother-in-law. I half anticipated some ridiculous claim for funds masked as a legal warning. It was worse. They were threatening litigation for emotional harm, interference with family steadiness, and careless oversight leading to relocation. It named me personally, detailed damages, and required payment for temporary lodging. I chuckled. I couldn't halt myself. Rachel didn't. This is intimidation, she said. You must end this, not with talk, with steps. She was correct, so I placed calls. By days close, I'd retained a lawyer. Not because I believed their ploy would succeed, but because I wanted them to realize I wasn't viewing this as a family drama anymore. If they sought a court battle, I'd counter with paperwork, not regrets. My attorney dispatched a cease and desist to the in-laws within 24 hours, cautioning against additional blackmail or slander efforts. The wording was sharp, expert, and unbreakable. By the time they received it, they'd already phoned me 3 more times and left 2 voice messages, all recorded and sent along. Danielle for once stayed quiet, but Nate didn't. He arrived at my workplace, marched past the front desk, stood in my doorway like he belonged there. I didn't raise my eyes. You truly going to rip your family apart over some meal? That was his stance. That was his boundary. I didn't reply, just indicated the door and uttered one word. Out. He hesitated, then exited. No debate, no retort. Just departed, head lowered, not the boldest voice in the space for once. That night I undertook something long postponed. I began severing every linked connection with them. Danielle was noted as an emergency contact on one of my policy documents. Removed. I'd been overseeing a combined investment fund Dad established years back. I withdrew my portion, shut the fund, and informed them it was no longer my concern. Shared media subscriptions. Terminated. Family online planner. Exited. I extracted myself from every family message thread, removed every joint program, deleted every reminder I'd set for their children's birthdays. Not from rage, from lucidity. When you're handled like a foreigner long enough, you discover you don't require approval to depart. That weekend, Rachel and I went on a journey. A modest cabin in the hills. No reception, no interruptions. On Sunday night back in our driveway, I viewed my phone for the first time in 48 hours. One message, from Danielle. One line, we're gone, don't fret, you win. No regret, no introspection. Just the identical self-focused manner she always employed. I erased it. That was the final I heard from her. 3 weeks of quiet. That's all it required for the haze to clear. No messages, no midnight voice notes laced with fake sorrow, no abrupt taps at the door. It was as if someone had at last muted the racket that had echoed in my existence for years. And for the first time in ages, no one was attempting to shame me, control me, or assert I owed them because we were relatives. It wasn't merely calm, it was liberty. Rachel observed it first. She began singing while preparing meals, sketching in the evenings. We brewed coffee leisurely in the mornings, strolled without glancing at phones, rested through the night without rousing from anxious dreams. The tension in my shoulders for years vanished. Then one Monday morning the property manager phoned. They're out silently on schedule, left only a few damaged shades. They'd gathered their things and vanished without another peep. No ultimate explosion, no 11th hour coercion. Not even a sarcastic memo, just gone. I drove over that afternoon. The spot appeared nearly pristine, a touch dusty. A few nail holes in the walls, but no destruction, no vandalism. Truthfully, it was underwhelming. I anticipated some form of disorder, some declaration, but that would have demanded work, something they only offered when it benefited them. The next weekend, Rachel and I toured the house one final time. I recalled standing in that living area when I gave Danielle the keys 2 years prior. She'd cried, said I was rescuing their family, labeled me the most compassionate person she knew. It took her 3 months to regard that compassion as her entitlement. We put the house on the market as is. No fixes, no cleanup team, just a direct listing. It was under offer in under 10 days. I never informed Danielle. She likely still believes I'm keeping it for her. We applied some of the funds for a genuine escape. A cabin in Maine facing the sea. No reception, no emails, no one requesting anything. Rachel slept until noon. I prepared meals. We didn't discuss much about what transpired. There was nothing remaining to state. When we got back, I reviewed old papers, policy documents, bank records, shared bills, and severed every connection. Danielle was noted as an emergency contact on 3 documents. I swapped her with Rachel. I deleted the shared family planner, exited the group messages, removed every digital remnant of the people who never genuinely appeared for me. Then I did one last act. I removed the old family portrait from the stairway wall, the one from a holiday a decade ago where we all wore strained grins and coordinated outfits, and stored it in a box in the attic. Not from malice, because it no longer seemed to fit. December came, no holiday greeting from Danielle, no invitation from Mom, no group message organizing the yearly meal I was always added to at the final moment. Just quiet, pure, uninterrupted quiet. And in that stillness I discovered something greater than closure. I discovered room. Room to create a life where being relatives didn't mean a blank check to use me. Room to cease yielding just to be part of it. Room to be at ease without craving their approval. I once believed departing from family was loss. Now I know it was the smartest decision I ever made. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Do you agree with what happened, or do you see it differently? Let us know your opinion in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. See you in the next one.